Good afternoon, fastball fans, and welcome back to John Miller Field, Circle Tap Bar and Grill, just on the outskirts of Denmark, Wisconsin. Hill United Chiefs on the field. They'll be playing the Grand Valley EXPOS in our second of four this afternoon. This is the last game prior to opening ceremonies. We'll bring that to you at the conclusion of this game. Leading off for the Grand Valley EXPOS, it's Dakota Bruce. He'll be followed by Jordan Bomber. You see that on the screen. Kyle Coles, then Michael Fuller, Brandon Richardson, Kyle Hunter, Aaron DeSantis, Dustin Bell, and Aaron Fuller in the 9 spot for the Grand Valley EXPOS. They'll be facing Michael Holla-Braddock pitching for the Hill United Chiefs in the Burgundy. Defensively for the Chiefs, Scott Patterson in left, Brad Ezekiel in center, Alan Peckers in right field, and then around the horn, Nick Shales, Shane Boland, Tony Gonzalez, and Jonathan Lynch over at first base. It is Michael Holla-Braddock. He's pitching to Josh McGovern. Bruno Matroni is the designated player for the Chiefs this afternoon. Holla-Braddock, the hard-throwing right-hander from the Czech Republic. He watched some of his young country mates win the ISC 21 and under tournament. Joe Todd, the future is bright for Czechia in fast-pitch softball.
Czechia have a great program going, and Dakota Bruce going down on strikes for Michael Holla-Braddock's first strikeout of the game. But the Czechia team is Czechia program. They've invested well in that program and getting some great results. Jordan Bomber now the batter.
Misses upstairs. Grand Valley were 2-0 winners in 11 innings yesterday, Joe, against the Notre Dame Clubs squad out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is the EXPO's first appearance at the ISC World Tournament. They come out of the Ontario Challenge Cup, the league championship tournament that is held every fall. Real excited to get the opportunity to come and play at the ISC World Tournament, and they're on the big stage against one of the biggest teams in the game, the Hill United Chiefs. And Joe, if you're going to go big, go big.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure they're a little keyed up and a little excited, but they're glad they're part of it.
Fouled that off. I think the only thing that might have been bigger for the EXPOs might have been the opportunity to see Adam Folkert, and they may yet see Adam. Michael Holla-Braddock, we think, will do the bulk of the pitching for the Chiefs here this week. Adam has been battling a groin injury of late the last couple of tournaments, and chasing upstairs goes Jordan Bomber. So we'll keep an eye on Adam and the Chiefs. Michael Holla-Braddock has had an ankle injury too. He's been pitching through that the last event, the USA National. So Jeff Ellsworth has been concerned about the health of his pitching staff, as this one is laced foul. Stephen Fuller, the coach for Grand Valley, had to duck out of the way of that one as it ricochets off the screen and out to Scott Patterson on the left. Joe, this is the ultimate David Goliath, I think. You've got national team players across the board for Hill United Chiefs, and you've got a leading league team in the Grand Valley EXPOS.
And that's all you're asking for. You're asking for a chance to go up against the big guys. They're going to learn from this game, take it back with them, and they'll be a better team. One ball, 2 strikes to Bomber. Bomber going down on strikes for the third out of the inning.
That was Kyle Coles at the plate, the designated player and presumptive starting pitcher for the Grand Valley EXPOS. We'll see them coming out onto the field when we come back from the break.
This business was opened in 1965 by my father, Ned Medios. Could have walked in here 25, 30 years ago and seen just about the same thing. The process of making this suit takes about 6 weeks. It goes through about 12 or 13 hands as it's moved along the line. It's an old-time place. Making stuff from scratch here in the city at a reasonable cost. It's a very personal type of business.
Joe Todd, thanks for filling in at the end of the previous game and picking me up as we're getting some game time changes posted across social media. It's an awful weather forecast for tomorrow. We'll pick that story up. Right now, we'll give you the starting lineup for the Hill United Chiefs. Bradley Ezekiel leading things off as he usually does. Shane Boland, then Nick Shales, Bruno Matroni in the 4 spot, the designated player, Tony Gonzalez, Josh McGovern, Alan Pecker, Jonathan Lynch bats 8, and Scott Patterson brings up the 9 spot for the Hill United Chiefs. Defensively for the Grand Valley EXPOS, left to right across the outfield, Dustin Bell, Kyle Hunter, and Dakota Bruce. And then on the infield around the horn, Brandon Richardson, Michael Fuller, Aaron DeSantis, and Aaron Fuller first. Riley Capalbo will pitch to Jordan Bomber for the EXPOS. Luke Zettel picked up the win yesterday, and Joe, I'm told he had a no-hitter going into the 9th inning.
Yeah, that would be a great start for him for his debut in the ISC tournament. Grand Valley coming away from the victory. Now they're facing Hill United, the second game of the tournament.
Bradley Ezekiel having himself a season, was on the first team All-American list coming out of the USA Nationals last week. Chases the first pitch, as Bradley's been known to do. Fouls it out of play. You've got to be careful with Bradley, because if you try to get ahead, he's liable to just jump on it and drive it right out of the park. Not your prototypical leadoff hitter. Makes a lot of contact, but boy, when he makes contact, it tends to go places.
Yes. A very active bat.
Well, you wouldn't teach that batting stance to anybody, and I think that was the title of his appearance on Dust Up with Hilly and Lawley. But it's his comfort zone. He brings the hands down, and that's a high hopper. They're going to have to hurry. Good throw, and they get him at first base. Good defensive play, good first touch for Brandon Richardson. You don't want too much time to think about it, Joe, and he certainly didn't have it there.
No, Brandon Richard fired a bullet over to first base.
So Shane Boland to the plate. For those who follow along with us on social media, our streaming producer, Luciano Lafrano, put together the list of the power batters to keep an eye on this week. Shane Boland right in the middle of that list. Shane and Nick Shales have swapped defensively this year. Nick's moved over to third, Shane playing short. Although when you see Nick Shales defensively, it's almost like he's playing a combination of third and short. He plays so far off the line.
Almost like a rover at times.
It seems like it, yeah. We'll touch on that as the game progresses. One of the storylines that we'll be following. Riley Capalbo can't find the zone against Shane Boland, who flips the bat in the general direction of Nick Shales, and Nick has to get out of the way. Nick's got a new style set of batting gloves. I'm sure these are Lumberjack Sports batting gloves, but they almost look like work gloves, Joe. They're unicolor yellow all the way around, and it is certainly a different look.
Very deep on the cuff, like at the wrist.
Yeah. The Pablo misses inside. And this one is flared down the right side. That'll fall foul outside of the reach of anybody. Aaron Fuller will take a look at it. But this would be the first time, to the best of my knowledge, Joe, that the Chiefs would have seen Riley Capalbo. So, first time you get to see anybody, it's always that feeling out process. Change up. They're going to flip to 2 for 1, back to first, and just that little bit of hesitation. Michael Fuller had to wait for Aaron DeSantis to get to the bag, but they get the lead runner. That's always important. Nick Shales aboard on the fielder's choice, and that'll bring us down to Bruno Matroni in the 4 spot.
Well, I'm sure there's little butterflies going in the Grand Valley EXPOS defensive lineup too. So get that play out of your way.
Well, and I was just about to say that too. You're on the big stage. It's the first time for the team in the ISC World Tournament. You're facing a team of the stature of Hill United, and you're trying to get out of the first inning. Shales bluffs, and he'll test the nerves of Jordan Bomber. Nick will bluff a couple of times, and then he'll go when you're least expecting him to go. Still runs very well. Matroni, bit of a late swing, but fouls it off.
Good quick hands on Bruno Matroni, though.
Bruno brings the bat so quickly through the zone. You think you've got him beat with a pitch, and that lightning quick reaction that he has, he's able to turn on a ball so quickly. And that gets away from Bomber in the dirt from Capalbo, and up to second base goes Shales. And these are the kind of little mistakes you just can't make, because a single here is going to score Shales, and you might have been able to keep him at third otherwise.
Yeah.
Upstairs from Capalbo. Can't overthrow, just has to stay within himself. I know that's a cliche, but that's really the truth here in these games, is to give that 100%, not try to do 110. Well, there's ball 4, and a couple of guys aboard for Tony Gonzalez. He might be the hottest hitter on the Hill United Chiefs coming into the tournament. There was the prognostic on the power bat rating, and you see a couple of the guys, Brad Ezekiel, Shane Bowen, Nick Shales, that are in the middle of that. You could put Tony Gonzalez onto that list if we had enough room.
Matt Palazzo.
Yeah, Matt Palazzo. There's Lenny Viavazzo from JB. Although they just lost 1-0 to RM Kurtz, so a big upset early action on Sunday. Niagara Stompers with a 13-0 win over the Auckland Blue Sox. Yeah. 3-0 count to Tony Gonzalez. And in with a strike is Capalbo. So now 3-1. There's a chopper on the infield over to Brandon Richardson, and he'll flip to first, and they strand those 2 runners, so they work out of it, and a good first inning for the Grand Valley Expos facing the Hill United Chiefs. Scoreless through 1 complete. We'll come back. Joe Todd with the top of the second. The Expos coming back to the plate.
Welcome to Monthill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon. Welcome to Monthill Golf and Country Club. With our
Well, Todd, you got to look at the inside of the world-famous Circle Tap Bar and Grill, and you look through those windows, and you look right out onto the diamond here, John Miller Field, and you get to watch Michael Holobradek take the last of his warm-up pitches. There's a look at the entrance into the park. People getting the wristbands. They must have got a weekly pass. There's the bracket board getting updated. Now, some changes to that bracket board, Joe Todd. The forecast tomorrow is for 100% rain. So we're moving a number of games to be played tonight still. Game 19 originally was going to be at 7 o'clock, has moved up to 6 p.m., but games 21 through 27 are all moved from Monday to today. Game 21 and 22 will both be played at 10 p.m., 23 and 24 at 8 p.m., Game 25 also at 10 p.m., Game 26 at 6 p.m., and Joe, Game 27, which will feature the winner of this game facing the Wander Springs Chippers, is going to be here at midnight tonight. So, take your 5-hour energy drink around 9 p.m. tonight Eastern Time, or 9 p.m. Local time even, and be ready to follow on Game Changer, the midnight game with Wander Springs and Hill United Chiefs. I regret that we will not be broadcasting that one. Striking out is number 24 for Grand Valley. That was Michael Fuller, as we get you caught up on the schedule changes. And we joke about it, but in all seriousness, we will not be able to bring you that game, unfortunately, tonight at midnight. But you can follow live on Game Changer. So Brandon Richardson to the plate. Brandon already a couple of good plays over at third base and fouls this one hard off the screen. Jonathan Lynch going to pretend that it didn't hit the screen first, try to get the out on the bag. You know, there might be somebody who was sleeping who might fall for that.
Little deception. Always try.
You know what? If you're not trying. You know, you like to see the players having a good time out there, too. Jonathan Lynch has as much fun as anybody out there.
Really tight stance there by Richardson.
Little flare out to short. Shane Boland will gather that one in for the second out of the inning. Kyle Hunter now to the plate. And he fouls this one off down the left side. Nick Shales, we'll get a shot of him in a second here. We get a shot of Nick Shales and his positioning over on third base. You can see him, he is at least, Joe, 15 to 16 feet off the line, playing almost semi-shortstop. And there he is there. You can see the distance from the foul line. And, you know, the thinking is, how many hits are there, base hits are there that hug the foul line versus how many go in that, what we call the 5.5 hole between short and third? And Nick is taking away that base hit between traditional short and third. He's giving up the hit down the line, but again, you play the percentages, and Nick figures it's better to be over there. There's called strike 3. Down goes Kyle Hunter. 4, 5, 6. Our 1, 2, 3 for the Grand Valley Expos in the top of the second inning. Hill United Chiefs coming up in the bottom of the second, scoreless between these two Ontario teams.
For the latest in softball innovation,
the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com. Live it on Softball Premier. Josh McGovern, Alan Pecker, Jonathan Lynch will come to the plate for Hill United Chiefs. Bottom of the second inning, scoreless. Joe, we've seen a lot of times the top-ranked teams like the Hill United, the Gremlins, the Stompers, jump on teams real early. And for the Grand Valley Expos and for Riley Capalbo, getting out of that first is a good start.
Great key there. Very important for them. Just settles the nerves a little bit.
Yeah, now you can get into your rhythm and play your game, make the pitches that you want to pitch, and it's all about just making the plays.
Yeah.
Right? Just play the game that's in front of you. Don't try to force it.
The game hasn't changed. You play the same game.
Joe, you were doing a bit of research on Grand Valley. We know them from the Ontario Challenge Cup. They play in the Inter-County League, which is in Central Ontario. They're leading that league.
They were 18-1 in the league right now. Playing exceptionally well.
And as we said, they got to the tournament by virtue of their finish at the Ontario Challenge Cup last September. Ball 4 to McGovern, and this is the one thing you do want to stay away from are the free passes.
Yeah, they were lucky that first inning, 2 walks. Both of them got trapped on base, though.
So Alan Pecker to the plate, and Joe, 5 tools in the game that everybody talks about. Alan Pecker has every single one of them.
Great ball player.
Big cut there, comes up empty. He can play the small ball game because he runs like a frightened deer. Put the ball down, and if you don't get it on the first hop, you will not get him at first. He can hit it out of the park. He's got a tremendous arm out in right field. Great range. He gets a good jump on the ball, good defensive reads.
Very smart player.
Thought about dropping the bunt down, and if I'm Brandon Richardson, I'd be in a couple of steps. Chases a drop ball and a good one from
Nice.
Riley Capalbo there.
Great pitch. Capaldo work himself back to an even count.
Upstairs to Pecker. You go back to the drop ball here, Joe.
Yes.
He's been a little bit more consistent, I think, with the drop ball.
Well, and that was the pitch that he caught him with on that second strike.
Chop from the infield off the glove of Capalbo and picked up by Kyle Hunter, the center fielder, and he'll hold Josh McGovern at second base. Bit of a bad break there for Capalbo. If he's able to come down with that, they might get one, at least on the lead runner.
Yes.
You're not going to double up Alan Pecker, but just a bit of a tough break there for Capalbo and the Expos. So 2 runners aboard, nobody down, and we'll go to Jonathan Lynch. Now Lynch with probably the most closed stance in fastball. He's looking bunt. Jeff Ellsworth, very orthodox in that regard, Joe. When John Hill was the one flashing the signs, or Larry Lynch, you very rarely saw the Chiefs bunt early in games, but Ellsworth a little bit more conventional in that regard. Lynch had free reign there, 1-1. But Jonathan Lynch, his power, if you will, is to left field. He's center gap even to left. And there's a flare, of course, to the right side, as the curse of the broadcaster. Well, that's not where Jonathan Lynch usually hits the ball, but a little flare out over the head of Aaron DeSantis, and bases loaded for Scott Patterson. Scott Patterson making his ISC World Tournament debut with the world champion Aussie Steelers, and with the connections that Hill United have with that Australia program. A great addition for the Chiefs, taking over in left field. He's been a mainstay in the lineup for the Chiefs. And well hit, deep center field, way back over the scoreboard, and a grand slam. Welcome to the ISC, Scott Patterson.
Well, your number 9 batter, too. Great job there. If I can recollect, wasn't he the leadoff batter for the Aussie Steelers in the WBC?
WBSC, he indeed was batting leadoff, and showing that he's got plenty of pop in the bat. And a tough one for Riley Capalbo. A couple of walks, just those 2 singles, and then the home run. And that's how quick the Hill United Chiefs can strike.
Yes.
Well, it's 2 grand slams in 2 days, Joe. Bradley Ezekiel waves over the top of that one. That one misses downstairs.
Time for Grand Valley to refocus now. Just go get that first out.
Richardson, backhand, turns, throws, and gets Bradley Ezekiel at first. He's been busy over there at third base.
Third defensive put out by Richardson.
Shane Boland to the dish. Little excuse me check swing, that goes foul. And a called strike. Joe, who are the umpires here?
Kevin Wallace from Shipman, Illinois at the plate. First base is Tom Keller. And third base is David Fortin from New Zealand. Tom Keller is part of the USA softball umpires program, and the 2 associations do an exchange. Keller is representing the U.S. softball this week.
Little 2-hopper out to Michael Fuller at short and on to first for the second out of the inning.
Capalbo with 45 pitches so far, just here in the second inning. And
this one is launched up in the air, hit the bottom of it, not the back of it. And Kyle Hunter will pull that down for the final out of the inning. But Scott Patterson, a mammoth grand slam out over the John Miller Field scoreboard. And the Hill United Chiefs put up 4 on the scoreboard. They'll take that lead into the top of the 3rd inning.
Whether you want to improve your grip in wet conditions or just to find the control you've been looking for, the Gorilla Gold Grip Enhancer has become the most recommended name in softball and in every sport where grip plays an important role. Gorilla Gold is the only grip enhancement approved by the ISC, ASA, and NCAA.
Hello, my name is Michael Holobradek. I'm from Czech Republic, playing for Hill United Chiefs, and I'm using Gorilla Gold.
My name is Pablo Miguelvaca from Argentina, and for every game I use Gorilla Gold.
Hola, mi nombre es Samuel Villalbazo, pitcher de la Selección de México, y en todos mis juegos uso Gorilla Grip.
Hi, I'm Adam Folkard, I play for the Hill United Chiefs from Australia, and I've been using Gorilla Gold my whole life. My name's Jack Vesco from Australia, and I can't pitch without Gorilla Gold.
Gorilla Gold, the feel for the game.
So second baseman Aaron DeSantis to lead things off for the Grand Valley Expos. Dustin Bell, Aaron Fuller, 7, 8, 9 for the yellow and black squad. Grand Valley, Joe, Central Ontario. I want to give everybody a point of reference. If you start in Kitchener, you go a little bit north and a little bit east.
Yes. To the Orangeville area in that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think
Hockley Valley?
They're west of Orangeville.
They have a very strong minor softball program up in that area.
Yeah, and they have been following along on social media, so thanks for the Grand Valley Minor Softball, and that's where a lot of these guys are products of that program. So you develop the players, and they eventually reach the big stage. Aaron DeSantis down on strikes. All of them, other than Brandon Richardson, by way of the strikeout. Called strike to Dustin Bell. And that one's hit hard, but just foul down the right side. If you're just getting in with us, Blair Setford, Joe Todd, Hill United Chiefs from Oswegan, Ontario, just outside of Brantford, Ontario. As chasing upstairs goes Dustin Bell for the second out, second strikeout of the inning. At the plate, the Grand Valley Expos from Grand Valley, Ontario. This is a matchup of two Canadian-based teams, two Ontario teams. That's chop foul down the left side. Hill United out in front, 4-0, courtesy of a grand slam home run by left fielder Scott Patterson. We're just into the second cycle of games here on Sunday afternoon. We had our Hall of Fame breakfast and induction ceremony this morning. 4 new members of the ISC Hall of Fame. We'll tell you about those as our afternoon goes on. The big news today are the schedule changes as we've moved some game times around. The weather forecast tomorrow is 100% for rain. And we've taken the opportunity with the available diamond space tonight to move 7 games now from tomorrow's schedule to tonight still.
Great work by our World Tournament Committee chairperson, Rich Haldane.
Called strike 3. Down goes Aaron Fuller. We'll catch you up on those changes as we go to the home half of the third. Stay with us, and we'll give you all the new schedule updates coming up. It'll be Bruno Matroni leading things off for Hill United Chiefs as we go to the third inning. Bottom of the third inning for the Chiefs, and some action down in the Grand Valley bullpen as number 16, Kyle Coles, our designated player, goes down to throw some warm-up pitches. And Joe, we might thought that Kyle was going to get the start. He does a lot of the pitching for Grand Valley in their league games. And that just misses upstairs from Riley Capalbo. Luke Zettel pitched yesterday for the Expos, went all 11 innings and spun a gem, picking up a win for the Expos.
That's a lot of work for your home opener.
11 innings indeed. A game and a half. Called strike. Good pitch from Riley Capalbo. And that one misses upstairs. Ball 4. Another leadoff walk. And this is what I like on repeat, Joe. This is how the last inning started. And you don't want to go down that road for the Grand Valley Expos. Joe, we started to talk about the schedule changes. And there will be a number of games still to be played following the opening ceremonies, which are going to happen at 5 p.m. We'll bring that to you here on the ISC network. But Game 19, which was originally going to be, as this one's lifted up to short center, Kyle Hunter will come on and make the catch. So retired is Tony Gonzalez. Game 19 originally at 7 o'clock, now at 6. Game 21 and 22 at 10 p.m. 23 and 24 at 8 p.m. Game 25 also 10 p.m. Game 26 moves to 6 p.m. And then Game 27, which will feature the winner of this game, and sliding in head first goes pinch runner Nick White. Thank you. Good young ball player out of Nova Scotia. A number of Nova Scotia ball players here. The winner of this, presumptively Hill United, based on the current score, is going to play at midnight tonight versus the Wander Springs Chippers. So that's 7 games brought forward from tomorrow.
It eases the pressure, but we just hope the weather clears up overnight or early in the morning.
You know, I talked with Darren Derricks as well, Joe, in between games. Darren, the proprietor here at Circle Top, the head of the host committee, and he said they were making some plans for some diamonds over in Maribel. Shot out to the left, and they get the throw in quickly. Dustin Bell hits the cutoff man, important. They hold Nick White at third base, and they keep Josh McGovern over at first. Alan Pecker to the dish with a couple runners aboard. Got to be careful here that Alan Pecker doesn't launch one down the right field stands. Upstairs to Pecker. So 7 games brought forward from Monday, and then making plans to put some additional diamonds into play on Tuesday. Pecker, big swing. That's a good pitch from Riley Capalbo, up and in on the hands, and just tied up Pecker completely.
Yeah, it doesn't let him use the strength of his arms and shoulders there.
Up and in to Pecker. Ball 2. Joe, we started to talk a little bit earlier about the Hall of Fame. 4 new members: Dr. Bob Nidick, Dean Kane, Todd Twatchman in the player category, who played for the Farm amongst others. And now they've got White hung up. They've got to be careful here because he runs very well. This is a lot of throws, and now they've got Josh McGovern, and they're going to go back to second. They'll chase him to second, and maybe a squandered opportunity to get an easy out there by the Grand Valley EXPOS. You want to minimize the number of throws in that rundown and get as close as possible to the player you saw on the replay, where distracted a bit there by Josh McGovern. And that's his job as the trailing runner, to become that distraction. Just upstairs to Pecker. He lays off. Had a notion, Joe, started, but held up. And bases loaded again, this time for Jonathan Lynch. On deck is Scott Patterson. I bet he's just salivating at the opportunity to come up again with the bases loaded. And the last member of our Hall of Fame class of 2023, Richard Dick Helmuth. The late Dick Helmuth played for the Danuba Condors in the Western Softball Congress out in California in the 50s, 60s, and all the way up to 1970. 18 years with the Danuba Condors. Twice an all-world player here at the ISC World Tournament. Back in the days when there was only one all-world team, and you had to get by the Long Beach Nighthawks if you were going to represent California at the ISC World Tournament. And the Nighthawks, of course, the dominant team in the 50s and 60s. And Danuba right there with them, but didn't often get by them.
18 years of long commitment to playing that game.
Laced by Lynch out to the gap in left center. Here comes White, closely followed by McGovern and Pecker right on their heels. Bases clearing. 3 RBI double for Jonathan Lynch and the Hill United Chiefs. Now out in front, 7-0. And Joe, just too much of the plate. He actually went up and got that pitch, too, to Lynch's credit. And he hit it to left center. We talked about that being where his power was, and into that power alley and left, and away it goes. Luciano, maybe we can get a mic ready for Dean Kane, who's going to come in and join us and talk about going into the ISC Hall of Fame. Dean, the business manager for the Circle Tap Dukes, and had a wonderful speech, an emotional speech this morning, and we'll unpack some of that with Dean as he looks on and sees some of the crowd that are starting to build here at the Circle Tap on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon into Sunday night. It was a big crowd here yesterday, Joe, for the Circle Tap game, and that stuck around all night long as the Wander Spring Chippers, the second host squad, put on a good game too, and a 2-0 winners for the Chippers. And they're going to play at midnight. They liked so much being on that main diamond. But we'll talk to Dean about some of the logistics that go into being a host here at the ISC World Tournament too. But Dean, first of all, my friend, congratulations on going into the ISC Hall of Fame, and let's talk about the emotions of that moment this morning.
Well, it just meant a lot. Been doing this a long time. Darren and I have been friends for a long time, and it just kind of going through the speech the last couple of weeks, just going through the memories, and just it all paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, we often hear the guys talk about in the Hall of Fame speeches. Nobody talks about the games. I find people talk about the memories, the family, and certainly that was your case as well.
For sure. I mean, there's so many games, and yeah, they do stick out, but it's the friendships, it's the camaraderie, it's the game. I mean, this is the greatest game in the world to me.
Can you tell us about all the work that goes in behind the scenes to hosting the ISC World Tournament? You're right in the midst of it. I don't know that everybody has a real appreciation of how much work it is to pull something like this off.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Well, this is our second time, so it's a little bit easier, but there's still, we met as a group. We've got a committee of 20, and then they've got all of their workers below them, and have been recruiting workers. We've got over 400 volunteers.
400 volunteers.
It's unreal. This area is so into baseball and softball. That's who takes care of the Denmark Diamonds. They make their money doing stuff like this. They did over 25,000 last time. So it's, like I said, we met once a month for about a year and a half, just making sure everybody's on the right page and if anyone needs any help. So.
Great stuff. That's just some little insight, and you always hear about how volunteers are crucial, but that number is mind-staggering. 400 volunteers, and that's great to see, as you said, the sense of community here, and you really do get that here in Denmark.
Right. It's unbelievable. I mean, and we've heard from fire hosts, and we talked to the Kitchener people, we've talked to other places, and the thing is, when you get those volunteers, you can't just have one group really. Because by Tuesday, Wednesday, they're burned out. So we've got a kind of a rotation. Everybody's on like a 6-hour. They're not really committed to more than that for the week. So
right. So you guys, the experience that you brought, having done this now, eyes wide open. What was the biggest thing maybe that you learned from the first time around?
Oh boy. Well, you'd have to ask Darren that question. I don't know. I know he wanted some later games, which he got.
Right. Well, he's certainly getting them today.
Yes, that is the truth.
Keep the people at the bar. Yeah, absolutely. What have the Circle Tap Dukes meant to you? You talked a lot about how personal this was for you this morning. Can you touch on that?
Sure. I mean, it's like I said this morning. We've been doing this 25 years. Every team's a little bit different. They all look and feel a little different, but different personalities. From a very local team to a very non-local team, getting all the cultures to kind of mesh. It's real special. I've been around so many great players that have either started here or ended here or stopped here. So it's very unique.
Luciano, just want to make sure that we've got the park mic turned down so we're not getting all the music. Yeah. Okay. Good. Because I don't want to lose Dean's interview to being muted on social media here. This is so important that people get this perspective. The guys really do become like family, don't they?
Hands down. Yeah. And we get support from their families too, right? They might not always be here, but they're giving us their person, for the weekends for 6, 7, 8 weeks of the summer. So
yeah.
It means a lot.
You spoke at length about Teresa and the support that you get, your wife Teresa, and the support that you get, and you just touched on it for the players. Teresa, I don't want to use the phrase lets you do this because that's not true, but she encourages you to follow your passion here.
She really did. I mean, she knew how much it meant to me, and that she wasn't going to take that away.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. That is great to see. I've gotten to know Teresa a little bit 2019, and it was great to say hello this morning and hear what you guys are up to. What's next? Where do you go from here?
I don't know. I guess we'll see. What Darren hasn't said a whole lot about what's going on out there, so I guess we'll find out soon. He's like I've said, and anyone who wants to talk to me about Darren, he is such a generous guy with the teams. I mean, he doesn't just do us. He does youth girls. He does youth boys. He sponsors so much stuff. So getting his time, and it literally is one day he calls me up and says, okay, we're going to put the team together today. And that's kind of like, okay, let's do it then. But I
You
just
gotta
never know when that's going to be. So.
Right, yeah, and you got to get busy, and you got to do it to
Right.
make all those commitments and everything else. And you've got 2 teams now too with the Water Springs Chippers here too.
Yep. It's been great. We've got a couple of younger people, younger local guys, getting involved in the game, and hopefully that continues. Like I said this morning, we've got strong baseball here. They've won 3 straight state championships. So all these kids that are 18, 19, 20. Hopefully, when they're done with following their baseball dream, we can get them into
softball. Yeah, fantastic. So Shane Boland, who nearly hit Nick Shales with the bat back in the first inning, almost hits him with a batted ball this time around. Is a bit of trouble here for Grand Valley again. Joe, the base is loaded. This time Shane Boland with the opportunity.
Yes.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Shane as we're talking with Dean Kane, one of the newest members of the ISC Hall of Fame. And Dean, as Shane lifts this one deep center field, off the scoreboard and back into play. Shane Boland will trot into second base. Another bases clearing double this inning. And that hit way up on the scoreboard. And maybe if that scoreboard isn't 29 and a half feet tall, Shane Boland would have had the grand slam. We'll have to kid him about that he's only got fence power. Can't get it out of the park. There you see it, right off the top of the scoreboard and bounces back in. Shane already trotting into second base. Jeff Ellsworth out to ask. But that hit the scoreboard. It's all in play.
Yes, the rule is, I mean, it could go in between right and left.
It could go in those gaps. That's right.
It's gone. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
That's right.
It's played here.
Yeah. So Jeff is going to inquire, but you can see it here. It's going to hit the scoreboard, and it's back in play. If you go into those gaps on either side of John and Field, that's a home run, as Dean just said. But it hit the scoreboard, and it's back in play. That is a double. And Shane will only collect the 3 RBIs, not the 4. Sorry, Shane, but that's absolutely the right call there. And we're over discussing it over on the Rich Haldane and Darren Derricks were in on that conversation. Rich, the vice president of the World Tournament Committee, but they got the call right. So 10-0 now for Hill United as we're in the home half of the 3rd inning. Grand Valley just looking to get out of the inning and try and limit the damage. Joe, they've really only got the 1 out, too.
Just the 1 out,
so,
yes.
Yeah, Nick Shales with a man aboard. A big swing and a miss there. Talking with Dean Kane, and Dean, I had a great question that I was going to ask before all that action around the scoreboard and such, but maybe just the last question here, and we'll let you get on with your day because I know you're a real busy guy, and there's a lot that is going on. Of course, you're going to be on the field for opening ceremonies as we recognize the Hall of Fame members. Can you walk us through the moment, and again, you touched on this a little bit in your speech this morning, but can you walk us through the moment of finding out? Because I know you were asked to leave the room. What was that like?
Yeah, like I said this morning, I honestly had no idea this was coming. Nobody gave me a heads up, and I thought, they were going to kick me out of the ISC.
There's no fear of that, my friend.
Yeah, it was a total surprise, and Larry asked me, or told me later, he's like, the best thing about this is that you knew nothing about it. It meant a lot.
Well, you're certainly deserving of it. Congratulations on the honor this morning. We look forward to recognizing you out here on John Miller Field this afternoon. Thanks for joining us, Dean Kane of the Circle Tap Dukes, and the newest member of the ISC Hall of Fame. Is that one sinking in yet?
I don't know. It'll take a while.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy it, and we'll see you out there this afternoon. Thanks for coming up and joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you got to leave us the microphone. You can't take that one with you.
I heard the New Zealand kids were a little teary that they couldn't be part of that.
Well, I think that's actually been swapped around. So. I know that meant a lot to them. So that has been swapped around. That's part of all the rescheduling that is going on. And Dean again in the midst of that one too. So.
Tenth batter of the inning so far here now in the bottom of the third inning.
I think if I was the Hill United Chiefs, I might go the on-deck batter. I might go stand behind a screen. Those guys are an endangered species.
Still just the one out. That foul tip caught the umpire and the catcher. Kind of tingled off Kevin Wallace's fingers, but Kevin's all good for it. Making sure his compatriot in front of him is okay. Trony going down on strikes for the second out of the inning. Tony Gonzalez now at the plate. Shane Boland at second base. Nick Shields at first base. Tony looking for his first hit of the game. Ground out and a fly out. Gonzalez with a hard slash right up the middle. Driving in Shane Boland. Advancing Shields to second. Gonzalez picking up a single with an RBI. Josh McGovern now at the plate. McGovern been on both times. Scored both times. A little bit of a wild pitch there by Kyle Coles. Coles just missing off that edge. McGovern getting a walk.
And I think Kyle Cole's finding out some of the differences, Joe, between your Tuesday night Inter-County League and the Hill United guys, where you might get somebody on a Tuesday night to chase that pitch, and it was a good rise ball. The guys in Hill United, Josh McGovern, is not going to chase that pitch up and out of the zone. We've got a pinch runner coming on. 44 is Peter Cavanaugh on to run. And, when you play a team like Hill United, like the New York Gremlins or Bear Creek or the Stompers, any of the top-ranked teams, really, one, you've got to make the plays like that. Good job there by Aaron DeSantis. But two, you can't just make the everyday pitch. You do have to do something extra to stay in it with these teams. 7 runs there for the Chiefs in the third inning, as we had a great conversation with Dean Payne and got to hear about his election to the ISC Hall of Fame. Chiefs out in front. Valley will come back to the plate in fourth to see if they can have any success. A new pitcher on too for the Chiefs, it looks like. Jordan Graham. We'll talk about that when we get back. How confident are you in your organization's security posture? If your answer isn't 100%, you're not alone. Most organizations aren't doing enough to protect their data, and they know it. With Armitage Technology, you can stop worrying about IT security issues so you can focus on moving your business forward. Our experienced staff monitor and maintain your IT infrastructure to keep your business running. Visit us at armitagetech.com and make your technology work for your business. Coach outside Jordan Graham on to pitch for the Hill United Chiefs. And no, you're not mistaken if you thought, hey, wait a minute, wasn't Jordan Graham on the Niagara Stompers about 2 weeks ago? And yes, you're right. Jordan Graham was a member of the Niagara Stompers 2 weeks ago. As this one is flared out to left, and it falls in for the first hit of the game for the Grand Valley EXPOS. Dakota Bruce, in his second time around, gets a leadoff single for the EXPOS. So why is Jordan Graham with the Hill United Chiefs, you're asking? Niagara Stompers, where Jordan was, had about 5, let's call it, pitchers on their roster, including Jordan. And under ISC rules, you're only permitted to use 3 in the World Tournament. One of them was always going to be Huemo Mata. One of them was always going to be Martin Gonzalez. And the third spot was up for grabs. Jordan Graham did a fair bit of pitching through the season. So did Ryan French. So did a couple of others. And Marshall Cronk, as we know, can do some pitching as well.
Kyle Linton.
Well, Kyle Linton is a special case, and we can come back to that. But ultimately, it was determined by new coach Ron Hackett that Jordan Graham was not going to be that third pitcher. Jordan wanted to be pitching at the ISC World Tournament. Swing and a miss there by Jordan Bomber. And Hill United with Daniel Chapman's injury. And Daniel is not here on the roster with the Chiefs this tournament. He's recurrence of his back injury, and I believe at this point Daniel Chapman may be already at home in New Zealand. The Stompers and Hill United worked out an arrangement for Jordan Graham to transfer over to the Chiefs. How does that work? You may also be asking at home. Because Jordan Graham is an Ontario resident and he is what we refer to as in region, this is a legal maneuver. There was no machinations required, no special permission. Jordan Graham had already qualified with the Stompers, but he was released by the Stompers and has been picked up by the Hill United Chiefs for the tournament. The Bomber down on strikes. Kyle Coles, designated player, now pitcher to the plate for Grand Valley EXPOS. This is all within the rules, but because he's an in-region player, that's one of the reasons why it can happen like that, and that is laced just foul down the left side. Now, also on the Hill United Chiefs roster is Juan Podolicio, a late addition, again, on replacement for Chapman himself. Juan is here because of the injury with Adam Folkert and his uncertainty as to whether he would be able to go. Down on strikes, goes Coles, second out of the inning. The concern with Adam is if he throws 1 or 2 pitches and then gets hurt, the Chiefs are then down to Joran and Michael Holobratic, who is also battling through an injury. It's high hopper. Shales will wait, come down. Strong throw over to Jonathan Lynch at first. So the long and short of it is the Chiefs pitching staff is under considerable strain. Jordan Graham has been added. Juan Podolicio has been added. And not 100% are Michael Holobratic and Adam Folkert, and Daniel Chapman has already left. Those are the changes. Now you know the rest of the story.
Oh, good to see Grand Valley get a hit.
Michael Lopez on to hit for the Hill United Chiefs in the 8th spot. So that's for Jonathan Lynch, Vivelo, the Mexican national team player. A lot of pop in the bat.
Very huge person. Very thick.
That's a great decision. He's a huge person. You are absolutely right. No word of a lie. And normally, Joe, he wears the high socks, but he's got the long pants on today. I almost didn't recognize him without the socks. Changing it up a little bit. But, Joe, you were saying just as we went to the break that it was nice to see Grand Valley pick up a hit that inning. Dakota Bruce, who is the brother of Quentin Bruce from the Bear Creek Express. And this is Quentin's league team. He plays in this Grand Valley league, or on this Grand Valley team in their league play. There you get a drone shot look at the live on the field. Amongst everything else, Luciano is also a pilot. That is lifted up to left, and coming across is Dustin Bell. Vivelo, Lopez flies out. Scott Patterson, grand slam home run, a walk, 2 runs scored. Not a bad afternoon for the young Aussie. Generates a lot of power for a guy who's choked up 2 inches on the bat, too, Joe.
He,
real quick through the zone.
And that's his whole power. He drives a lot off his shoulders and a nice level swing. You see that ball coming in, keeping the bat level and following through and rolling his wrist, turning his wrist over.
Well, 0-2 against Kyle Coles. He'll need 1 here to put an early end to this one. The run rule is 15 after 3, 12 after 4, and 7 after 5. And for those of you who are completists, 1 or more after 7. Was fouled up and out of play. Coming up after this one will be opening ceremonies scheduled for 5 p.m. Central. That'll be followed up by the New York Gremlins taking on the Northwest Braves. And then our nightcap on the broadcasts will be Kegel Black Knights. Ground ball over to Richardson. And he'll toss to first for 2nd out of the inning.
For the number 11, Brad Ezekiel.
Brad Ezekiel to the dish. There'll be 2 additional games after that Kegel Black Knights game. This one is laced by Bradley Ezekiel. That's out over the head of Dustin Bell and left, rattles off the fence. Bradley Ezekiel will get aboard with a double. We'll bring up Shane Boland. Shane smashed one off the scoreboard his last trip.
Blair, we talked about those gaps up in the scoreboard.
Yep.
And if I can recollect, a ball went through there in 2019.
Yes, it did.
I thought so.
It did. And that is a home run. It cleared the fence. Even if it hits the scoreboard and then ricochets out, it is still a home run. Ground ball to the shortstop. Michael Fuller on to first for the out. They retire the Chiefs in the 4th. We will go to the 5th and keep this one going. Top of the 5th. Grand Valley EXPOS coming back to the plate. So Brandon Richardson to the plate for Grand Valley. Jordan Graham on his second inning of work for the Chiefs. Brandon Richardson, Kyle Hunter, Aaron DeSantis, 5-6-7 for Grand Valley. There's a little chopper on the infield. Graham will come get that and toss to Piplo Lopez, who stayed in the game at first base. A couple changes there for the Chiefs. Joe, want to say hello to Steve Vale, who was watching. Steve, great job. Short basis as our UIC. Miss seeing you here, Steve. Drop us a line when you get a chance. And it's fouled off. Good hack there by Kyle Hunter. And over the top, good drop ball from Jordan Graham. Joe, I had Jordan pitch for my Mississauga team about, boy, it is about 10 years ago now. My gosh, how time flies. It was about 10 years ago. He was spent the summer. Jordan works for Ontario Hydro and spent the summer working in the Greater Toronto area and was staying in Mississauga and wanted to play during the week. And of course, knew that I had a team in the area and wanted to know, hey Blair, can I come pitch? Let me take a quarter of a second to think about that and say yes. Not only is Jordan pitch, he's a great stick and he's a great person too. So I enjoyed having Jordan with us for the summer. Just a real nice guy in the game. One on one. Aaron DeSantis at the dish. That missed downstairs. Swings over the top of that. A good drop again from Jordan Graham. Joe, the one thing I want to definitely acknowledge about Grand Valley here in this game, yeah, they're down 11-0, but it's not like they came in here and kicked the ball around or anything. Like Hill United has gone out and piled up the runs because they are the Hill United Chiefs and they've hit the ball like you expect the Chiefs to hit. It wasn't handed to them. It wasn't like there was a bunch of errors or anything like that. Grand Valley doesn't have anything to hang their heads about at the end of this one.
Oh, played extremely well. Again, it's a learning process.
Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Kyle Hunter. Jordan Graham picks up a pair of Ks here in the top of the fifth. The Chiefs will come back, and actually they won't. They won't need to because that is it. That was the fifth inning. So an 11-0 win for the Hill United Chiefs over the Grand Valley EXPOS. Scott Patterson, the grand slam. Shane Boland, 3 RBIs, as well as who had the other bases clearing hit. Jonathan Lynch cleared the bases as well with 3 RBIs. And those big hits, the difference. 1 hit for the EXPOS, that coming off the bat of Dakota Bruce. Stay with us for opening ceremonies. There you see the handshake line from our drone. Continue to bring you the innovations thanks to Softball Premier Luciano Lafrano, Carol Dureste on our action camera, Joe Todd, great job. Want to thank Dean Kane for stopping by. Opening ceremonies in about 35 minutes time. Come back and join us on the ISC network. for the latest in softball innovation. The website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball. On demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now. SoftballPremierTV.com.